My boyfriend faked a proposal, so I broke up with him. Me, 24 female, have been oh, I'm just gonna fix her little grammatical error, because I'm not a petty bitch like the guy in the last story.
Nope.
We can infer when someone makes a simple mistake or a typo.
Yep.
I, 24 female, have been dating my boyfriend Andrew, 26 male, for 5 years now. We've had a healthy and stable relationship up until today. Andrew has always been a prankster and made jokes with me all the time, and I do it with him, but today he took it way too far. In the morning, he woke me up at 7 a.m. and told me to wake up because he wanted to take me to the spa. I was pretty surprised because it wasn't a special day or anything, but I was all in for it. At the spa, he told me how he wanted to go to a fancy restaurant after we were done at the spa and that he was paying. Of course, I agreed, as we hadn't been out together in a long time. When we got to the restaurant, we had a beautiful and romantic dinner and just a nice time in general. We were talking about a house we were planning to move into and chit-chatted about other stuff too. After around 40 minutes, Andrew stood up and got on his knees and took out a box out of his pocket. My heart stopped beating. I hadn't even predicted this. We have never talked about proposals before, but I also thought it was a great time now. He did a speech about how I was the most beautiful girl in the world and how he wanted to live with me forever, and ended with, "Will you marry me, my princess?" Of course, I said yes. Seconds later, all that excitement turned into horror. He opened the small box I expected he put the ring in, and it was a note saying, "You've been pranked." And Andrew started laughing hysterically. He continued with, "Baby, this was just a prank. I'm not ready to marry you at all yet." He was leaning in to hug me, but I gave him the biggest slap ever with tears streaming down my face. I just told him, "We're over, you fucking scumbag." I am now sitting in my bed crying and writing this, and I don't know what to do. He's been texting and calling me, but I haven't responded because I feel so sad, betrayed, and mostly angry. I thought this was going to be one of the best days of my life. What should I do?
That guy seems like a big ol' asshole.
Yes, he sucks.
How could you do that to someone? That's terrible.
This is horrible.
It's one thing, and I mean, I wouldn't even like this. Like, I've seen people for like a second look like they're gonna go down on a knee and be like, and they're like, oh, whatever. Like, he put on a whole-blown skit.
Yes.
The spa day, the restaurant, like, you're setting everything up for it.
Yeah.
I would have fully believed him, too, if I were her.
Why would she not?
Yeah.
Like, but that's what he wanted, too.
Yeah,
like,
that's malicious.
He knew she was going to fully believe him, and that's what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He planned this entire day to emotionally manipulate you, keep making you happier and happier and happier as the day went on, so that you would be at your peak happiness when you received this prank that would take you to, like, your most saddest. He planned all of this, because if you were just in your, like, normal emotional state, and then he was like, "Marry me," and you were like, "Wait, what, babe?" And he was like, "Oh, just kidding." You'd be like, "Oh, ha ha ha." Like, it wouldn't be that dramatic emotional drop, probably. But because he did all of this and he did the lead up, it's like he's making your emotions peak just so he can pull you down.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's not a good guy.
Why would he think this is funny? This should have been on the episode that was, "It's just a prank," and then the prank.
It's very hard because they've been together for a while, and like
Wait, have they?
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
It's hard for one thing to like throw away an entire relationship, but like that would be really hard for me to get over. Something like that is like actually messing with your emotions is like not okay.
Yeah, that is so sad. Like, how could he have thought this is a good idea? It's making me think of those YouTube couples that all they do is prank each other back and forth. And it gets to the point where you're like, how do you guys even trust each other at all anymore? I feel like the comments on the "it's just a prank" video opened my mind a little bit more, but I don't hate pranks if they're harmless. Like, I think little jokes with like people that you're close with and that you trust like aren't always a bad thing. But a reasonable person knows where to draw the line. But the comments on the prank episode made me see how it is like kind of cruel to do pranks on certain people regarding certain things, because it does change your emotions so drastically, and a lot of people, it takes them a long time to recover from that when their emotions are thrown all over the place. So I get that too. But yeah, those couples on YouTube, it's like, how can you even trust each other after a while? And a lot of them break up because all you're doing is emotionally tormenting each other. And it's like, how can you trust each other? How can you separate, oh, this is a joke from, oh, this person is actually trying to do something nice for me. Like, I feel like I would never recover. Even if she gave him a second chance, any kind thing he does in the future, I would be like, oh, is this going to be part of a prank? Like, I think this would make me lose all trust in someone.
Me too. It brings up the question of like, how serious does he take an engagement and things like that, it's like so easy to make like a huge joke out of it. I mean, it wasn't on her mind, but when you're asking someone to marry you, you're asking someone to marry you.
Yeah.
So some things I feel are good to make jokes about. Other things are kind of like, you know, and the way that he had done that is way too far past the line, if you ask me.
I agree. I remember this one couple on YouTube I used to watch. They would do pranks, but then it turned into like emotional pranks, and they would prank each other into being like, I'm breaking up with you. And it would go so far as to like the girl left the guy's house and he like came like running out, like doing anything he could to try and get her back. And he showed her this like family heirloom ring that he was planning on proposing to her with, and then she's like, oh shit, like you shouldn't have shown me that, like this is a prank. Then he's like, you really pranked me, and said you're like, it's just a mess, like it's just not worth it.
I like, call me a softie or whatever, but like that's way too much toying with my emotions. I could not do that.
I think little pranks, like I can't even think of a harmless prank because it's so hard to find a harmless prank where there's like, you know, where it's actually funny, but the stakes are actually so low. It's very difficult to think of one. I can't even think of one. But if some of my friends that I love that support me like 100%, if they were to play a little joke on me, I wouldn't necessarily get mad. But then it's like, if my boyfriend was like, I'm breaking up with you, and did the whole spiel and then left and then was like, oh, it's a prank. It's like, and who is that funny for? Like, why is that a prank? That's not a prank. That's just cruel and mean. That's just being mean to someone.
I agree. My really good friend that I lived with in college, we used to do like scare wars, like randomly. We'd be like, okay, like this week is scare wars. And for like the week, we would like find different ways to like prank each other by like scaring each other.
Yeah, I love
with, like,
that.
Stupid stuff like that. Like it was never anything like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those types of pranks I'm good with. Little things like you go to the grocery store and you're like, oh my God, I forgot that. And it's like, what? And then you're like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Like, here it is.
Yeah.
Those pranks are like funny to me.
And the thing with your friends, it's like, that's consensual. Like you guys are all like, yeah, I like being scared, or I don't mind if someone jumps out at me every once in a while, or yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
This is just weird. And if it's like, her question was, what should you do? You should block him and never speak to him again. Like, it's over, in my opinion.
Yeah, that would be hard for me to have the trust again.
Yeah.
But.
And I guess, though, they have been dating for 5 years. So if this is the only thing that you've ever been like, because she did say he pranks and he makes jokes with me, I make jokes with him, but today he took it too far. Like, if this is the only thing in your relationship that he's done wrong, after 5 years of a wonderful, healthy relationship, and then he does this horrible mistake, maybe you could find it in yourself to forgive him. But I feel like that's going to come with like him doing things that will earn your trust back, and he's gonna have to now accept that your relationship is different. The trust that you just built for 5 years, it's been reset. Like, he doesn't have 100% of it anymore. And if he's not able to understand that and work to make it 100%, then he's not emotionally mature and it's his own fault, so it's done. But if you guys can both come to an agreement and be like, we have a wonderful relationship, one of the people in the relationship made a terrible mistake and did something so mean, but we can work together to get through it. If this girl is like so kind and willing to forgive, like, sure, people work through shit. But like, the odds of you recovering from this, or at least for me, the odds of me recovering from this, if I was in a relationship with someone, I'd be like, I just feel like that's so mean. Like, that shows his character.
Well, yeah, and he would really need to own it and really fully understand why what he did was wrong, and the different things that it could like trigger in me, and, you know, why it feels like a loss of trust and everything else that goes along with it. I would make him explain to me, I need you to tell me now, what did you do wrong and why did I react the way that I am? Yeah. Like, you really need to fully understand this.
Yeah. What a dickhead.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I think he did it to himself. This is horrible.
Yeah, I don't like that one. You're not overreacting, OP.
I agree.
And he is nasty.